I thank the gentleman. The gentleman from Iowa is also the vice chairman of the committee. Mr. Nunn is now recognized for 5 minutes.
Well, Mr. Chairman, thank you very much for putting this important hearing together today. We all know that in my home state of Iowa, in the heart of the heartland, my senior citizens are probably target number one for the scams. It's happening across not just Iowa, but the entire country. I'm proud to say that the U.S. is also probably the best place for innovators to come to the forefront and really be the superheroes in the story of fighting back. In November, the Department of Justice used blockchain to freeze approximately $225 million that were used in a human trafficking scheme. However, even amongst this technological situation, we remain challenged for most of our state and local law enforcement entities to get an opportunity to play, as Mr. McLaughlin, you just highlighted. One victim back in my hometown in Iowa, a 68-year-old veteran, lost over $100,000 to a scam. And challengingly, local law enforcement couldn't even begin to help. That's why today, Mr. Chair, I'm introducing the bipartisan GUARD Act to give state and local law enforcement agencies access to the technology they need to combat these financial fraud, crimes, and pig butchering scams. So let's get started on this. Ms. Cohen, I know that you and I are on the same page here because in your testimony, you emphasize the need to train more people on things like blockchain, those digital rails in which the future of technology is going to operate on here in the United States. This is exactly what the GUARD Act, my bill, attempts to accomplish. So I understand that your company has trained people on these technologies, both at the state and even down to the local level. Can you briefly walk us through some of the examples and if there's been stories of success here?
Yes, thank you for the question, and I'm sorry to hear about your constituent being defrauded. It's a story we hear all too often, unfortunately. At Chainalysis, though, we do work with over 70 state and local governments around the country, and we have seen astounding successes when law enforcement is trained and equipped properly. And we have only scratched the surface, unfortunately. And particularly with the proliferation of these types of scams, we need to better equip state and local law enforcement to understand how to handle these cases and connect a single fraud victim to a wider network and increase chances of disruption and recovery.
Jackie, I think you really highlight a point here that this has happened in the physical world before, and we've had good game plans to go after it. You know, what our GUARD Act bill is aiming to do is to create these fusion centers of best practices at the federal level, marry them up with local law enforcement agencies, and provide those level of resources to really go after that so that, you know, an Iowan who loses 100,000 or a New Yorker who loses $1 million all have the same access to the same resources. Is this what you've seen through your experience to be a successful solution?
Yes, sir. We should have every advantage because these scammers are leveraging cryptocurrency, but time is at the essence. And what we have seen in working groups and small-scale operations is that when private and public sector are together, sharing information dynamically, we can turn that wealth of information into actionable insights quickly and have stunning successes.
Thank you, Ms. Cohen. Ms. Stokes, I want to thank you and your incredible team at AARP. You're on the front line not only guarding our seniors, but you've helped bridge this to be a bipartisan effort. Our GUARD Act is really brought together by Mr. Gottheimer and myself, a Republican and a Democrat, really working for the best interests of the American people here. I'd like to, one, ask how could retirees benefit from a local law enforcement that would have access to these greater tools that a GUARD Act could provide so they can get to know about blockchain, understand how financial fraud works, and really address the sources of these crimes to stop the number of victims we're seeing?
Thank you, Representative, and AARP is very proud to support the GUARD Act. I think it's critical. We talk to probably 100,000 victims a year, maybe 500 calls a day, and the vast majority of fraud victims where money has been stolen, they have no recourse. They'll call local or state police, and even if police that they talk to understand that it's a crime, they'll still say, there's nothing we can do about it. And sometimes don't even take the report, which is a challenge in and of itself. So anything that we can do to not only provide the tools, but importantly to train local and state law enforcement on things that they simply don't have the training on right now would be of great benefit to our constituency.
Well, thank you, Ms. Stokes. I want to again say thank you to AARP for helping lead this because it's not only my seniors who want this, it's every American who needs this, and no one more so than my local law enforcement who want to be able to help our own community get better, this gets us in the right direction. Mr. Chairman,